Hello. I want to talk about one of my other favorite things. I have a lot of favorite things. um, this is something a lot of people have asked questions about in the DNRS world, and it's just such an important thing that I don't know how much people have an awareness about this. Core beliefs, what they are, how they create our reality in a really stripped down, easy to understand way. I want to talk about this today because it's so important. They're so impactful. And I think a lot of people walk around with these belief tapes in their mind. They don't understand how those belief tapes are creating their everyday experiences in reality. Like it's just this absolute direct correlation. So, and this is something, again, with DNRS or any kind of, if you're working to create yourself, if you're a young adult or an old, any person, any stage in life where you're like, okay, I need to change how I work because my life isn't working the way I want to. And when you understand that everything in your life is a projection or a mirror of what's happening in your inner world, that's when you realize you have all the power. The only power you have over your surroundings is the power you have to change what's creating that. So it's almost like your internal world is projecting and creating your life. And when you understand that on a deep level and understand how to change your inner landscape, you can change every circumstance of your life without actually having to do a lot on the outside. It's the inner work that you do that then just creates this kind of domino effect in your life because you start acting differently. And when you start putting something out into the world and into your relationships and into your work that's different, it gives you a whole different outcome. So, core beliefs. I'm going to start with a really basic one, and a basic example. And this is one that we can see this in kids, even in children. If you are confident in yourself and your ability to work, this is something that it gives you, like, children who are really confident in themselves, like super confident in themselves. They just go after whatever they want and they do it. They don't ask for help. They don't ask for permission. They're just like, I'm going to go do this because I can and I want to. Versus a child who has no self-confidence and doesn't even attempt because they're afraid they're going to fail. Like it's so obvious. Like that's a really clear thing. It's really easy to see in kids because they're so simple. They haven't had a lot built up around, they don't have any kind of identity built up yet. They don't really have an ego yet. They're too little to have an ego. So it's a lot easier to see very clearly how their beliefs about themselves are directly affecting their experience of life. And my mother is a Montessori teacher, and I've worked in Montessori, and it's a really great environment to see that play out. And it's one where the human person is really developed consciously, but children in a Montessori classroom get to choose their own work and take it off the shelf, and they get their own little mat to do their work on. And you can see the kids who are really confident in themselves and ability to work, and an environment where you're encouraged to experiment, and that if you fail, it doesn't matter because you can keep trying, you can do it again. And that creates a person who, in life in general, if something is challenging, they'll go out there and be like, okay, well, I tried this and it didn't work, so I'm going to try it again. I'm going to try it a different way. But if you have this basic, solid confidence that no matter what you run into in anything in your life, whether that's a school project or a new job or a relationship or a sport or an artistic endeavor, a new schedule you're trying to master, anything in life. And those are the things in life that can cause the most stress. But if you're really confident that you are going to succeed, that you just trust yourself and you're like, I'm going to get this. Like I always do. If you have this belief that like when life challenges me, I rise to the occasion and I succeed every single time. How do you think your life's going to play out? When you see you're going into a new phase of life and you have this new schedule and it's demanding and you've got to, juggle college and a job, or you have a family and you've got a new baby and it's the new baby plus, or maybe just for a mom it would be the new baby. For a dad, maybe it's like this responsibility of a new baby and then I need to go back to work and how am I going to, kind of juggle this whole new human being in my life with my wife and all of this. But if you have this basic belief that when you are challenged, it makes you stronger and you always rise to the occasion, you always adapt, you're super adaptable, and you just have this like basic kind of gut level certainty that you're going to rise to the occasion and you're going to do this, then you're probably going to succeed. And those occasions will be occasions for growth. Now, to juxtapose that, this was old me. Challenges, well, actually, it wasn't really ever me. This was my limbic system's misperception of me, was that new situations are scary. So this is just, and that's just a limbic thing. But if you think, because the limbic system's trying to protect you, and it's this little kid that thinks like new things are scary. The unknown is scary. And if you have that belief that new things are scary, new things are stressful, and you don't believe in your ability to adapt, and you don't believe in your own strength, and you don't trust yourself, you're going to fumble, you're going to fail, and that's going to reinforce the belief that you aren't capable, that you're not capable. And then you're just going to be like, oh, it was proof. Like, I just can't do this. Like, when challenging things happen, I just fall apart. Versus the other way, if something challenging arises and you have this really deep-seated belief that you always rise to the occasion and you always will grow, and then you do, because that's your belief, that's just going to reinforce that belief even more. And then the next time you have a bigger challenge in your life come, you're going to be like, oh, I just was like, I totally rocked that the last like 6 times, so I'm going to rock it this time. Like, it doesn't matter how huge the new thing is. You have a history of success. So who cares? And that's one big one. There's so many others though. Like, do we believe that we deserve love? Do we believe that people like us? When you walk around with a belief that people aren't going to like you and that they think you're like a not nice person to be around, you're gonna give off this vibe that like you're not confident and you're kind of like needy and insecure, and then people are going to be like, well, that person doesn't seem to know what they want in life, and you can't be funny or interesting when you're insecure, so people are going to be like, this person's not very interesting to hang out with, so I don't want to hang out with them. Versus if you walk around in life feeling like, even if you've ever seen like a 4 or 5-year-old girl, they walk around like they own the world. Like, they're like, I'm strutting my stuff, like I'm so awesome. And it's just such an interesting dynamic, because who doesn't love those little girls? Like, people love, and adults that are like that. Like, when you meet a person who's so secure in themselves, you can tell they don't care what you think about them. And they're so funny and they're so confident and they're willing to be crazy and do fun things. And they have a lot of their own interests because they're absorbed in their own lives. They know they're secure in themselves. They know they've got the love they need. So from that place of security, they develop a lot of interests and a lot of hobbies and a lot of skills. That makes a really interesting person. People want to be around people like that. So when you believe you are worthy of love and that you have enough already and you are enough, you project a personality into the world of someone who is secure and confident and interesting, and you give off this impression, or I guess it's a reality, that you don't need other people's validation. And I think if you just imagine kind of in your mind for a moment what it's like to encounter a person who comes to you and you feel like they're like a leech, like they need your validation, you're going to be like, I'm not going there. Like, that doesn't feel good. You don't want to be around people like that, because that's not, there's a basic human, again, like our innate wisdom knows, we're not supposed to be other people's self-worth. That's impossible. You can't give someone their validation. So it tends to be a very, repulsive thing when someone comes to you with this kind of basic need for validation of their worth, versus someone who's coming to you with a confidence in their own worth, and you're free. Like, they're kind of like, the attitude is like, oh, you can come join me in this party of life that I live, and then that kind of gives the other person the freedom to do so or not, and it doesn't matter. There's no pressure, and when there's no pressure, you're much more willing to, or likely to, just naturally enjoy being around them. So that's another one, kind of your own beliefs about yourself are the thing that make other people respond to you in a certain way. That's it. So again, what's coming from the inside is creating your reality. And this is where the inner work comes into play. You have to get in and be willing to investigate and be willing to see, what is it that I actually believe, and be able to write it out on paper, look at it in all of its ridiculosity, and then decide, I don't believe this anymore. I choose something different. And decide what it is you believe, and then work to make sure every single thought and emotion and behavior and action you take in your day actually expresses that, so that when you text someone or call someone and they don't respond to you, or they respond in a really short text that seems kind of short, you're like, do you interpret that as this person doesn't like me or doesn't love me or thinks I'm a piece of shit? Or do you respond with, that person's busy living their life, they've got other things and it has nothing to do with me, you know, and besides, I've got my own life to live, so like if they don't respond, I got like a million other fun things I can involve myself in, so who cares? Like, if they want to come back to me, great, I'd love to hang out with them. Otherwise, I got a life, I got other friends, I got other people. And again, when you have this independence, you know, that draws people to you. But it, as you can see, your beliefs are what create the emotion and the thoughts that you have in each of those little situations. Or when you are at work and you encounter, like, you got a big project and or you're working with someone really difficult to work with, but you believe in your ability to work around it, you believe in your ability to be creative and to come up with a really interesting solution to a problem, that's going to, when you have a challenge, you're going to automatically be like, okay, getting in there, like I'm getting into my groove, I'm getting into my work mode, and I'm going to go after the solution, whatever it is. Versus if you don't believe in yourself, don't believe in your ability to be creative or to work hard, then when a challenge, you know, comes to you, you're going to find a million other people to blame, a million other things to blame, so that you don't have to take responsibility for the fact that you're not actually taking on that challenge and finding a solution. You're not going to do a good job at your job, and you're going to end up feeling a whole lot worse about yourself, or just projecting onto everyone else. But all of that, like those completely opposite experiences that happen within a human person, come directly from the beliefs that are already there. So you have, like, literally, like, if you imagine, and I know it's just like really old school at this point, like, but like a CD, or like just some sort of, like, because it's got a rotating thing to it, because, you know, you go through life and each, there's kind of a circular pattern to life. So you've got this set of beliefs that's kind of always running, and in my mind, running goes like this. So if it's always running in the background, it's always creating your experiences and reinforcing itself. And that's where every experience, every thought, every emotion you have comes from what you believe. And you can literally, like, it's like software. You can extract and take beliefs. Like, people do visualizations of, like, pulling a belief out and discarding it. You can literally do that. You can just, like, decide, okay, I see this belief, and I don't like it. So I'm going to just pull it out, toss it. I like incinerating it because that feels more like, you know, like, burn it. And then be like, I pick this one instead because that one makes me feel good, and I want to feel good in my life. You know, I don't want to be dependent on other people for my self-worth or validation, or I want to be able to approach difficult things in life with passion and drive and confidence that I can come up with a really amazing kind of structure or idea that's going to make this project flow or make my house flow. I can, like, it's so much fun to come up with creative solutions to problems or situations. That's so different. And this is like the foundation of life. It's incredible, and it's incredibly potent and incredibly powerful. So this is something you can do. I mean, exercise is simply just, if there's an area in life you're struggling in, go back. Like, the struggle is pointing you toward your belief. Have the courage to actually sit down with a piece of paper and write down what that belief is. Look it in its ugly face. Put a line through it and write down what you actually want to believe, what you think is true about you, the person you want to be. And then make sure every action, and it takes a lot of discipline, and it can take like weeks or months of repetition before acting and thinking and feeling that way become automatic. But let me tell you, when you do, life becomes so easy. It's like you can put so much of your life on cruise control. It's incredible. Like, all these things just start happening by themselves, and it's so easy. And then people respond to you differently, and life just starts to flow for you and to work for you. And it's like, oh, it's so much better than trying to go out. You can't fix anyone else. I mean, I think this should be common sense, but a lot of people act like they can change someone else. Never works, never has, never will. You cannot change anyone else. You cannot, you just by trying to fix something in your environment, that can help a little bit. But changing your beliefs about yourself can help infinitely. It's your whole new program running. So, yeah, I think that's about it. But just that it's so potent. It's so powerful. And it's such an amazingly joyful feeling, because then you, in every moment of your life, you know that you're creating something you're proud of. Because our being is always creating. We always are existing, and whatever being we have, whatever beliefs we have running within us, is always creating something. We're creating an energy that's going out into the universe, it's going out to the people in our lives, we're putting it into the work that we do, into the art we create, into the families we're making. So what we believe and our being is always creating something. And if you are intentionally choosing what beliefs you are made of and what's projecting into the world, you can know that you're always creating something worth value. And that leads to, at the end of the day, feeling satisfied, feeling at peace with yourself, feeling grateful for what you have in your life. It's just the most amazing feeling. So, again, thoughts, questions, comments, anything. I love conversation. If you have the courage, drop a comment in the video below here and tell me, like, is there one belief right now that you're willing and have the desire to change? Like, to really just take that thing, pull it out like your Albus Dumbledore, incinerate it, and stick something new in there. And, like, watch your life just magically, it looks like it changes by itself. It literally feels miraculous. It looks like life is just changing all by itself. And it's because you chose something different to live out here and here. So yeah, that's my invitation for today. Much love to all you, my friends.